Hello, this is Stitch Mingle. This is Pop Candy Mini Bag tutorial. I'll be explaining how to make. That opens with a button. Is a very small mesh stitch bag. Here are the components needed to make it. You'll need scissors separately. First, cut the thread to 5 times the length of the mesh. 1, 2, 3. Four, 5. Then, thread it through a single needle. Just hang it like this. Okay, inserting the thread at the bottom left corner of the mesh. Let's start. This is a leaf-shaped pattern. Use the stitching method, which creates a. How to make one leaf. I'll show you. So, we'll start counting the holes from this corner. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 4. Insert. Leave about 3 centimeters of thread on the back, and hold it with your hand as you continue with the next stitch. Into the first hole, 1, 2, 3, and 4th. The needle. Insert. As you make this, the fabric will sometimes twist a bit as you thread it through the mesh. However, when you finish it, it won't look neat and pretty. I tend to keep stitching while touching it with my hand to create a neat shape like this. That's why you inserted it diagonally like this. Next, we'll go up 1 space at a time along the same diagonal angle. From back to front in the space directly above the hole you inserted it in the first time. Insert the needle. While you're doing this, also thread the remaining 3 centimeters of thread on the back so that it can be wrapped around it like this. In this way, the thread will continue to wrap around the remaining string in a diagonal manner, keeping it firmly tied so it doesn't unravel. Into the second hole, 1. Insert the needle. And then 2 spaces. Now, this time, we'll keep the center hole, which serves as the axis of this leaf, and move the holes on the left to create the leaf shape. One, two, 2 spaces to the side, and 1, 2, 3 spaces above this hole. Insert the needle. Similarly, pass the needle through the center axis, moving up. This time, based on the center axis, we'll insert the needle 1 space to the side, and then 1, 2, 3 spaces above this hole. I'll repeat this. Based on this hole, insert the needle 1 space to the side, and then 1, 2, 3 spaces above this hole. The needle 1 space above this center axis, put. This time we'll only move upwards, not sideways. We just insert it 1, 2, 3 spaces above the space. Now, half the leaf has been created. Now, we need to make the upper right leaf symmetrical as well. Okay, so this time, we're going to insert the thread going down the center axis. So this time, insert the Then do the same thing. 1 space to the side. Insert the needle. And then 1 space down. And this time, insert the needle sideways. One, two, 2 spaces to the side, and 1, 2, 3 spaces. Insert. Then, come down 1 space in the middle, and the needle based on the hole you just inserted. 1, 2, 3, 3 spaces to the side, and 1, 2, 3 spaces. Insert. One space again. Come down. To the side. And go up 1, 2, 3 spaces. 2, 3 spaces up. And finally, coming down to the last space. Insert the needle sideways. 1, 2, 3, 3 spaces to the side, and 1, 2, 3 spaces up, and 1, 2, 3 spaces up. One leaf is complete. Now, we need to create identical leaves in the adjacent squares. As you can see, leaves appear 1, 2, 3 in a row, followed by 2 leaves and half leaves on either side. Repeating the pattern. Let's create the second leaf. Now, remember the hole we put the needle last? Let's start from here, starting from the end. From the left end, we're counting down the squares 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now, starting from this square, I'll tell you the numbers. From this square, pass the needle through the squares 1, 2, 3, back to front. Then from this last hole, 1, 2, 3, 3, and then 3 squares up, 1, 2, and 3. Insert. The rest is the same. Move up 1 square at a time, creating the same leaf shape. So, move up another square diagonally. And then another square, and then another square up diagonally. When you're breaking the threads of the mesh, sometimes those who are quite strong pull it really tightly. If you pull it too tightly, in extreme cases, the mesh can become tangled like this. Later, when you've finished breaking them all, if they're all pulled so tightly, the mesh shape can become distorted. So, when you're breaking the threads on the mesh, use a moderate amount of force. You don't want them to be too loose, but just enough to create a nice flat shape. I'll do the same thing as before. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And now, create a third leaf at the end. That's it. You've created 3 mouth shapes. We'll create the second row. As you can see, this second row has half a leaf at the end and two hole shapes in the middle. So right here, this half. I'll show you how to continue making the leaf. So the finished point is the third leaf, and that's it. Last hole will be here. 1 or 2 spaces above this hole. Insert a needle. There's a hole at the very top of this leaf. Insert another needle here. But the thread is now too short to continue. So in this case, I'll explain how to connect a new thread of the new mesh. Cut the next thread, just like before, to 5 times the length. Then we finished with just one line at the very end. So to continue, we'll create a second diagonal line. Go up 1 space above the one we just made and insert this new connecting thread. 3 centimeters at the back and leave the thread you just finished with. Hold them together like this and connect the thread. Next, we need to go up 1 space above the diagonal line. So, since we've created the second diagonal, we'll go up 1 space and pass it through to the front. At this point, wrap the 2 remaining threads together. To prevent them from unraveling, we'll create these diagonals and wrap them together on the back. Now, this thread won't unravel, right? 1 space. Let's go up. And 1 space up. We're creating half a leaf like this. So the method is the same. Go up 1 space. Now, we've created half a leaf. Next, let's create a complete leaf next to this. So here we come, and if you look, you can see the hole where the 2 leaves fit together. Pass the needle through here from back to front. This point, is the starting point at the very center of this leaf. The same way we did before, we'll create the leaf. Earlier, we started from the left and then moved to the right, but this time, for the second row, we're starting from the right end. So when I create this second mouth shape, I'll start from the right side, so. The second row will be from right to left. The method is the same as before, so I won't explain it twice. First, I'll just show you how to knit it. Now, if you've made this second slit, make another half wing flap at the opposite end, the same way. Let's just like at this end, insert the holes here. From the bottom, holes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The method is the same as before. Now, the second row is complete. Just repeat the same pattern, filling in all the way up to the end. So you can see that the first and second rows of this pattern are repeating, stacking up like this. If you look at the completed body, you can see that, right? The first row has 3 mouth shapes, the second row has 2 mouth shapes at each end. And then 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. 2, and so on, all the way to the end. And now, I'll show you how to fill in the empty space at the end. For example, I cut the yarn to 5 times the length of the net. Since you started from the body, the bottom is already filled with mouth shapes, and there will be some empty space here and there in the middle. Let's start from the left end. In my case, when I first insert the yarn, I go to the front and twist it. The yarn is already filled here. I insert the needle inside and pull it out. And between the threads here it's snug, so leave enough space to prevent it from slipping out. After pulling out all the yarn, I return to the front. So, if you look at the end, you'll see empty spaces from 1, 2, and 3. So, let's pass the needle through this third space from back to front. Pass the needle through this last space. And then, 1 space diagonally above this last space. Let's pass the needle through this hole from back to front. The needle into this blank space so that a diagonal line forms. Insert. And this time, move 2 spaces over and pass the needle through. And so, let's return to this first space. Okay, so these corners of these holes are filled with thread. Now, let's move to this second space. So, based on this last space, 2, 3. The needle into spaces. Insert. And then, you know the holes we just opened? Move 2 spaces over and pass the needle through. The needle back up the diagonal line of the last space you inserted it into. Bring. And again, in the middle. You can think of this as the center square of this triangle. Enter this square again. This time, through the second square above this center square from back to front. Pass. Return to the center square. The needle diagonally to the right of this center square. Pass. Then again through the middle square. And this time through the second square from this center square. And again through the center square. Now, if you look at it this way, it looks like this. So these shapes, you can think of them as representing the shape of the tip of a leaf. So stitch here using the same method as you just did. Now, fill in the last hole using the same stitching method as you did on the opposite end. So, at the very bottom, we filled in all the empty areas. Now, when you pull out the remaining thread, you can pull it out through the back side. Already stitched. Insert the needle between the threads that are. This will prevent the thread from unraveling easily. If you want to secure it a little more firmly, you can do this one more time and then pull it out. Like this. And cut the thread. bottom part is now complete. Now, if you've finished all the way up from the bottom, there will be 3 empty triangles at the top. I'll explain how to fill them in. I'm currently at the right end, but some of you might be at the left end. So the direction doesn't really matter, whether you start from this side or the right, the method is the same. You don't need to worry about he's, just stitch the same way. So here has the thread coming out the back. Just like before. Let's fill in these 3 leaves, and when we start the second row, this part will be the center of the new leaf. As I explained earlier. So you can think of this as the bottom of this leaf. So if you look at the bag we made, it looks like this. So you can think of it as knitting the same part as the bottom. The needle into the hole in the middle, where both sides of the yarn are inserted. Insert. So that it emerges diagonally on both sides. Into the last hole. Insert. Then go up one more space. Since there's nowhere else to go, move to the side and create a diagonal line. One more space. Come up. And here, one space. To the side. Now, since we're done here, we'll leave it alone. Let's fill in this left half, so go back up again. And insert the needle over this diagonal line. The center square. Again up the diagonal line. And then again, the last center. Square and then this very last square, the very last square of the sleeve. These triangles using the same stitching technique. in. Stitch them the same way as before. Okay, the last row, the last square. Once you've filled them all in like this, return the remaining thread to the back and just like before. Insert the needle between the other threads and pull it out. Okay, cut it like this. Complete. Now, let's explain how to make the sides. For the sides, please prepare these 2 D-rings as well. Next, we'll cut the yarn for the sides to half the length of the net. So 1, 2, 3. Four, 5. Half of the length that reaches the bottom of the side here. We'll cut. Now for the sides. I'll first explain how to fill in the corners, this triangle shape, the mouth shape, the half mouth shape, and this triangle shape. Then we'll create. Let's start from the leftmost square. Since we're using the same stitches we used on the body earlier, this isn't a new method, so you should be able to make it quickly. So, insert it here and pass the needle through the second space above. Always leave 3 centimeters on the back and hold it with your hand. Don't forget it. This clean diagonal space. Pass the needle through. Wrap the remaining thread around the back to secure it. Then, return to the corner space with a Mayosori. Then, next to this clean diagonal space, the needle back to front. Bring. Then repeat this on the left end. A symmetrical triangle shape. so that you get space from the end. The needle through the second. Insert. Then, insert it again on the diagonal side. Then return to the first space. One or two spaces above the last space we entered. Forward. And then back to the very beginning. Now that the corners are filled in, let's create a mouth in the center. So as you can see, this mesh fabric has 7 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So the center is the 4th space from the end. So insert the needle through the center space of the 4th space. Next, we'll create a mouth in the body, just like we did before. You can think of it as making this in the center. It's the same method. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You've already done this stitch on the body. It shouldn't be difficult. Let's move up 1 space and put it in. Now, once this first section is complete, let's immediately move on to creating another half-mouth shape. Since it's the same method we used on the body, I won't provide further explanation. For those who are confused, please refer back to the part 1 explained earlier. So like this. Okay, now that this half is complete, let's move on to making the other side half mouth. The method is the same as before. Oh, if you've made both halves of the leaf like this, there's a triangle shape left here, this part, as the remaining part at the very top of our body. Let's fill it in using the same stitch method. So, the last hole that we've finished is probably this one. So here in the middle, where there's a groove, put the needle through this hole where both mouths have thread. And then one space below this very end. The needle through this space where insert. And then one space above this hole where the groove was made earlier. Pass the needle from back to front. Then insert. And then from the central axis, one space up, and since there are no more spaces to go up, let's move to the side and create a diagonal. The last diagonal. And now on the opposite side. I'm going to create a diagonal stitch shape. As the opposite side, just like this, make a diagonal that comes in from the outside to the inside. Just inserted at the very end of the upper part. Fill in the last diagonal up to the hole that was. And then pull it out through the center of this hole. Once you've filled in the sides, we'll attach the back ring to the center of this side. As for the D-ring, if you look at the holes at the very end, there are 1, 2, and 3. This back ring should be right underneath the third hole. Position it in the center of the side. There should be about this much thread left. The third hole 1, 2, and 3 times from back to front. Pass the needle through. Then pass it through again just below the fourth hole. The D-ring can be wrapped around it. Weave it like this so that then move one space to the side, then one space to the third, and then one space. The D-ring. To secure, go back and forth like this, so that the D-ring will be firmly secured. Go back and forth several times. This is because we'll be attaching the bag chain to this back ring. This back ring doesn't fall out. It's best to weave it tightly so that... So let's do this. And I'll wrap it around once or twice more. More secure. To make it, it's a bit tight, so it might not be easy to get through. More thread to make it more. LL wrap it with. Yes, I've attached the back ring to the side like this. For the remaining thread, just like we did before, just insert a needle between the threads and pull it out. So LL cut the thread. Now the side with the back ring. Attached on both sides is complete. I made the side to show you in advance, and once you've made one side, you can make the other side using the same method. Connect these sides. I'll explain how to. The thread to the same length as before. 5 times the length of the body. Actually, it doesn't really matter if you cut it shorter or longer. So, thread the needle through the thread and at the very end, connect the side and the short side first. Through the side, from the back to the front. Pass the needle. Similarly, leaving about 3 centimeters of thread, insert, so that it wraps around the body end. At the side end, insert the needle again. For the remaining thread, position it between the meshes. Pass the needle through. Are now connected. Next, the second hole at the end, and connect. When connecting, insert the remaining string between the meshes, so that they wrap together. as long as you align the holes. Line up the holes and stitch them together. Along the side and bottom. Continue connecting them. If you come to the corner, I tend to pass the corner once or twice. The reason is that this is a bit of a bony part, so tend to wrap the thread once or twice to make it smooth like this. If the hole is too narrow and you think it will be difficult to pass it through, it's okay to just wrap it once. If you force it through, the mesh might tear, so to just pass it through once. That's okay. So, continue along the side and bottom with the feeling of hiding the mesh with the thread, and continue wrapping the thread around the hole. Here's a tip. Fill the mesh with this thread along this border, and then at the end of the side, where the side meets the cover. I recommend pulling it tightly to connect it. The side meets the cover, the finished piece. If you wrap a bit unbalanced and slanted when the cover is closed, when you connect the side and the cover, tighten the last hole. I wrapped it twice and recommend doing it. Once you've reached the end of the side, should I go up here? Or should I go to the top of the side? If you're wondering, either way is fine. You can either continue along this path up to the cover or to the top of the side, but I'm going to follow this path. Now continue winding along this mesh pattern, but at some point the thread will become too short and you won't be able to continue. However, if there's still a lot of thread left to wrap around the edge, I'll explain how to do it by connecting new thread. The thread is now cut off somewhere in the middle. At this point, remove the needle, cut a new thread, and attach. It to the needle. It ended. The needle into the same hole where, from the inside out, insert. Just like before, leave about 3 centimeters of thread and turn the remaining thread inward, positioning it so it can fit the new thread and the remaining thread so they can be wrapped together. Similarly, continue winding along this pattern, wrap the remaining threads together. Both threads without unraveling will secure. To the next pattern. Move the thread. It's so it can be wrapped. Continue winding along the hole. Now, let's connect all the edges. Mine doesn't have the frame yet, but wrap the thread around the edges and, assuming you have it already, I'll explain how to finish the threading. There's still some left over. In this case, insert the needle from the outside inward. Insert the needle. Like we did with our threading. Into the center of the threads tied together and pull bring. This way, the thread won't come undone. Insert it into the center of the threads on the inside. Pull it out. Tied well. You feel it's now. We We've connected all the sides of the bag, and the shape is complete. Now, once we filled in the thread around the outside, let's attach the locking decoration. At the components, you'll see that the buckle decoration has a button that separates the top and bottom. Need 2 more screws and the included screwdriver. Okay, so let's start by attaching the button at the top. Now, if you put the cover on, you'll see a leaf-shaped shape right in the middle. Align the button with this center line. Just press it in firmly so it's centered. Once you feel it's flip it over and you'll see 2 holes. Now, insert the screws into these. Use the included screwdriver to attach them. Turn it to the right, and it should fit perfectly. The button is connected. Let's connect the bottom part where it fits perfectly. So from the bottom, from the front. I'll insert this decoration into the center line around the entrance. If you look at the back, you'll see a pin. Just insert it. Find a suitable location and insert it. Oh, this location should be fine. You can decide, quote, so this should be fine. Then insert it. And on the inside, bend the protruding part like this. If you find it difficult to do by hand, use scissors or a sturdy object to press firmly to secure the decoration. Now, once you've inserted it like this, the lock decoration is now secured. Our mesh stitch handle. I'll show you how to knit the handle part, which will become. You can make this part with the crochet hook we included in the kit. Many people who don't have any experience with crochet often find it difficult and don't make it. However, we made it as easy as possible. We recommend making the handle as well. First, make a knot. Your second finger around, wrap it. Making 20 chain stitches like this. Thread the crochet hook and pull it through the hole. I made 1 stitch like this. Then 2. Three, 4. 5, 4. Make 20 stitches in total like this. (18) 19, 20. As you can see, we've completed 20 chain stitches. Now we're going to go back up this way. You can see the stitches we've just chained. That looks like this. You'll see a part. Insert the crochet hook into this part. The yarn around it. And then pull it out. Now there are 2 threads hanging like this. So wrap the yarn around the crochet hook again and pull both of. I'll show you again. Behind the stitch you just chained, first insert the needle. And then thread the yarn in. Now you've got 2 rows. Now thread in again and pull both rows out like this. Do you see that we just made 2 rows? Here, crochet on this last row and like before. Crochet on the protruding part on the back. Then, just like before, weave the yarn through and pull it out. Gently pull the end out a little to extend it like this. Now you can see that there are 3 rows on the crochet hook. Next, wrap the yarn around once more and pass it through all 3 rows. Do you have this? Let me show you again slowly. At the very end, hook the hook on the bottom row, then the back. And wrap the yarn around and pass it through. You have 3 rows. Then pass the yarn through all 3 rows. Like this. Continue in the same way, moving sideways. Three rows like this. All 3. You've knitted a whole row. Then at the end, make a chain stitch and start the next row. Flip it over like this. Now as you can see, there's one stitch here, and so on. This entire stitch. From back. To front like this, then instead of this part. One row below the one you just passed through. Bring the yarn forward. With this thread attached, bring it forward. And then thread the yarn in. Through the hook, then back like this. You see 2 rows on the hook. From here, thread the yarn through the hook again. And pass both rows through. I'll show you again. Now you see this one stitch here. Pass it through the hook from back to front like this, and if you see a row right below the hole you just came out of, bring the hook forward under that row. Then thread it through, it's peepag, there you go. Next, you'll see 2 rows attached to the hook. Then thread through both rows again. Next, there are 2 rows attached to the hook. From here, crochet the last row at the back. Just like before. Pass 1 stitch through the front, then pull the hook out of the row just below this. Then thread in, bring it back, and you'll see 3 rows hanging like this. Then thread in again, 3 rows. One stitch through. Thread in and then pull back. Next, loop the thread again and pass all 3 rows through. Are you done? If you turn it over, knitting like. Now let's finish. Pull out the crochet hook. Cut it. Cut it here and pull the thread out completely. Next, come over here and tie it once more. Tie it so it doesn't come undone, so that the thread doesn't unravel. I'll tie it a little more. Doing this can play with the four ends to make the shape look a little prettier. Now you can hide the remaining thread and finish. So to prevent this thread from slipping out, this side will be the front, and this side will be the inside. Flip it over and hide the threads on the inside. There's no set location. Wherever you see fit. Weave them together. Don't unravel easily. Now, after weaving, you can cut them later. Just make sure they don't unravel easily. And then, the handle is complete. The thread that was left over when we started. Also, to prevent. Weave it together somewhere else. Hide it well on the back. Cut the remaining part. You can weave it anywhere. Since this is the inside, them. Bring. Making sure they hold their shape. If you think it's done, cut the remaining part. The handle is complete. Now we'll attach O-rings to both ends. The O-rings will be inserted like this. This O-ring might look a little small, but we tested larger and thicker ones, this size and thickness. When passed through our mesh stitch, was the perfect fit, so we made our final selection. Now, when you attach it to the handle, the O-ring in the center of this end, with the outer surface facing upward. Insert. is a bit small, so it might not be easy. But if you insert it little by little, you can the O-ring so that it's centered at the end. Insert. Once you've done this, the bag's cover like this. You'll see 3 leaf shapes on the top. Put the O-ring into the hole at the very end of the first row of leaf shapes. Do you see it? At the very end of these 3 leaves. Just insert the O-ring into the hole. This part might be a little tricky. You slowly push the hole in. It should fit through. So, the location where the O-ring comes out is the third hole, about 1, 2, or 3 holes from the end. You can remove the O-ring here. Have to insert it in exactly the third hole. We're just giving you a guide. If you want to insert it a little deeper and connect it, you can insert it 1 more space. First, insert the O-ring in the third hole so that it can come out like this. Like this. Turn it around and remove it. Then, on the other side, put the O-ring here at the end of the leaf. Might already be some thread in the hole, so it might not fit easily. Just make sure you insert it properly. It's easier to hang this handle on the mesh stitch net. Here's a tip for making so that the hook can hang from top to bottom. Position it. If you can hang it from top to bottom, it'll be easier to insert. These holes are probably already occupied by thread, so they're a bit narrow, making it difficult to insert. So I'll use a screwdriver or whatever tool you have to. Widen it a bit so it's easier to insert, then I'll hook the loop. Insert it like this, flip it over. Find the right spot and then put the O-ring. You can hang it on the net like this. The handle part is complete. Now, I'll show you how to thread the bag chain. Chain like this is a bit tricky. But it's much prettier if you thread the bag with the chain like this, so we'll show you how to do that too. So, prepare the chain and the needle we used earlier. Thread the needle. The thread so it's about 20 centimeters longer than the chain, or maybe even longer. You can see the circular loop. Insert the needle here and it from the outside in. Going from the outside to the inside and back and forth. Just thread through the loop alternately. Don't pull all the thread out, but leave about 10 centimeters. The thread through the loop back. Passing. This is a very simple method, so it won't be any more difficult than the other methods. Just keep working the loop back and forth so that the thread of the chain is loose. Forward and back. You've threaded all the way to the other end. Grab one side of the chain and pull straight through. Now we're going to tie a knot. Insert the needle into the circle again and pull it out. Don't pull it all out, but when you've created a loop, pass the needle through the loop. Then pull it all the way through. Now you've tied a knot. Now take the remaining thread and thread it through the loop you just passed it through. Going back and forth again. This is the process of weaving the thread one more time at the end to prevent it from coming undone. And then going back and forth. One more time in the same way. Weave it. About this, 6 centimeters, 7 centimeters. Go back to this point from the outside to the inside. And do the same thing and secure it once more. Okay, once you've inserted about 6 centimeters, 7 centimeters like this, you can cut it. So this side is finished and this side. In the same way as I just showed you. Tie a knot in this loop first and then go back and forth again to secure the string one more time so that it doesn't come undone. The method is the same. Okay, now that the chain is complete, attach it to the D-ring and you're done. You made it. Thank you for following the tutorial for such a long time. Use it well. Goodbye, smiley face.